Hey guys, it's Ashton, and I am 7 months on tea. I'm not really going to be talking about the changes of tea today because all that's happened is progression from previous months. So I am going to talk about going private in London with Transhealth, like with Dr. Curtis, as somebody's asked me to do it. So yeah, let's go. Around this time last year, I was thinking about going private for testosterone because I was 16 at the time. I'd not long turned 16, and I hadn't even been on a waiting list for a gender clinic yet. I was on the waiting list for CAMS, and it was just, I knew I wouldn't have been able to wait for the NHS, so I kind of talked to my parents about it, and they were fine with me to go private. They were prepared to pay for it. We rang up a couple of weeks before the Easter holidays, about this time maybe, and we couldn't get an appointment in Easter. Obviously I couldn't miss school at that time because it was in a crucial period because of exams, so I waited until just before my last exam. So my first appointment was June the 12th with Vicky Pattersky. Dr. Curtis was on sabbatical leave at that time, so I had to go and see Vicky, and I think she's still there and does like initial appointment. So for the first appointment, it was £240 for me, but I think it's gone up to like 260 now maybe. But you have to pay half of it before you go, so you got to pay on the phone. So when you ring for an appointment, make sure you got your card with you and money on the card so you can pay the deposit, because if you cancel, they kind of like take that deposit because people book appointments and don't turn up. But they send you one of these, I'm covering my address obviously, saying you will be seeing this person on the date, and it's just like confirming your appointment really. So my initial appointment was 1 hour. We cut the train up and walked to Transhealth. It's really easy to find if you just get a route planner. The closest tube station is Bond Street, I believe. Like, I've been up there so many times I kind of know that route inside out from walking there now. But it's pretty easy to find, and when you get there, there's a big door and it's got lots of buzzers on, and you're just going to click Dr. Curtis hair removal. So it's pretty discreet. So if you're worried about what the door looks like, it's pretty simple. But he is on like the second or third floor, so we just take the lift. There is a lift there, but it is quite small. Transhealth is literally just like a couple of rooms on a floor of a building, and it's really nice. You walk in there, it's a really nice atmosphere. The receptionist, Richard, is really nice, and he always wears cool shoes that doesn't match his outfit whatsoever, and it's pretty decent. There's a room where Dr. Curtis is, and then there's 2 rooms in the back for like counsellors and like hair removal and stuff. But anyway, I went and I was really nervous. I went with my parents, I went with my dad and my stepmom, and if you're under 18 you have to take a parent with you, otherwise they won't do anything for you. But we had the appointment. They basically just talk about your family, education, if you've been counselling before, relationships, like your background, and I think that's about it. I'm just double checking. Yeah, and you just kind of just have a general talk about life, and when you first began to feel like you wasn't in the wrong gender, and yeah. So you have that appointment, and then at the end, usually what happens, they tell you what the next step from there is. So like for me, Vicky was like, right, you need 4 counsellor appointments with a gender therapist before you can see Dr. Curtis for tea. And usually they give you like a set time frame for when you can come back, but for me they just said as soon as I can. Like obviously I had to see a counsellor for 4 appointments first. After your first appointment, they send you like a brief summary letter of like what happened in the appointment and what was going on, and there is a little diagnosis in there which is pretty handy, and like that's the top of the letters. It's pretty like formal. And anyway, yeah, so I chose to go with James Caspian, one of the psychotherapists and he was pretty chill. I went up to see him like 3 times in like a space of 5 weeks, and then I combined my last appointment with him with my appointment with Dr. Curtis, so I would have to travel up again because it's quite expensive to go from Wales. So yeah, like in the therapist appointments, all you really talk about is like your gender and stuff that worrying you, and it's just to really like make sure you're fine and you're like mentally stable-ish. Like they just want to make sure that you're making the right decision, and they just want what's best for you. So I had my checkup appointment with Dr. Curtis on August the 20th, 20th, the day before my exam results, and I was really nervous because you have to have like blood tests before, and there was one bloods of mine missing, and we kind of like didn't tell him. And yeah, he just said, yeah, you're fine to start T, you send my letter in the post. But it was really like stressful for me because it was like August bank holiday, so my surgery wasn't open on the Monday, and I had the letter on the Thursday, and I was like patiently waiting to go get my tea, and it just I've never felt like 4 days has dragged so much in my life. But when I had my appointment with my doctor, then he wrote my prescription out, and tester gel was there, right there. Didn't have to order it in, and I started tea on the 26th of August. I had to have a follow-up appointment 3 months after I started tea then, and then it's every 6 months, and then I think it goes to like yearly checkups. So my next one is in like June maybe. Yeah, and the last appointment I had with him in December, I asked about switching to Nabido, and that was completely fine. He just sent me a letter saying, yeah, I'm all good to switch and blah blah blah. So I do have to have more blood tests soon as well. If you have the money and you don't think you could wait that long for the NHS, then I highly recommend Transhealth, because you go there to get what you want. Like, it literally took me 2 months to get testosterone, and I've had no previous counselling before that. But I did like take my name change and like my passport and stuff that has all been changed. But it's a really good thing for trans people if they're really struggling and they can't afford to go, because it is so much quicker than the NHS. Like, I'm in the middle of switching back onto the NHS now, and they're finally starting to refer me to Charing Cross, and that's a year's waiting list already. Like, I know personally I couldn't have waited until I got to Charing Cross for tea. So I'm really thankful to my parents for letting me go for like a price range. I think the first appointment now is £260, and then every counsellor appointment I had was £75 for 50 minutes, and I had 4 of those. And then my follow-up appointment with Dr. Curtis was £120. I think it's gone up to like maybe 130 or 140 now. And yeah, so it's kind of expensive with travel and stuff, but if that's what you really want and you have the money, then it's money well spent, you know? Like, that's probably the best grand I've ever spent. And I'm so much more content now, and I feel chill. I feel stable for once. So yeah, I hope this was informative in some sort of way, and I will see you probably next month when I am just crying because I'm just starting my exams. So yeah, peace.